Hello everyone. We'll get started in around 2 to 3 minutes, waiting for a few more people to join. Okay, I think we can get started. We are still expecting few more participants to join, but let's get started with the webinar. So thanks a lot everyone for joining today's webinar. In today's webinar, what we'll do is that we will be building a web application related to generative AI. Before we get started, I would like to mention that all of you should have a GitHub account before proceeding with the hands-on aspect of today's webinar. So I'm just sharing a link in the chat. If you do have a GitHub account, it's totally fine. But if you do not have a GitHub account, kindly go to this link and you can click on sign in or sign up. If you don't have an account, click on sign up. There will be some instructions for you to follow, and then the GitHub account will be created. You will get a verification email on your Gmail, and it will be done within 1 minute. But please get started with this so that you won't miss out on the hands-on aspect of the webinar. This webinar will also be recorded, so don't worry if you miss some aspects or if you feel that some aspects are going a bit fast. Second thing is that while the webinar proceeds, there might be some areas where you might not understand exactly what's going on, because we want to cover a big chunk of portion today and reach the end of, and at the end we want to build a web app. So at some stages, naturally, we'll need to go a bit fast. In that case, just try to understand as much as you can, and you will anyways have access to the recording. And when you go back, when you get access to the recording, that's when you can try to understand the parts which have been a bit fast or which have been difficult. From our end, we have tried to make this webinar as simplified as possible, while at the same time having an awesome app at the end of it. So before we get started with the technical aspects, I just want to motivate why we are doing this webinar in the first place. The name itself can be broken down into two parts, generative AI and a web application. Initially, when we were planning for this webinar, we only wanted to do web development. But then we realized that anyways, we are doing web development. Why don't we have a generative AI web app? So both of the parts of this web app as generative AI are very important. And let me first start with web app and why you should care about web development in the first place. Let's say if you are a student who is applying to grad school, right? A portfolio website has become extremely important. So this was my portfolio website when I was applying to grad school. Um, I prepared this a bit later, but when I was applying to grad school, I had an earlier version of this website. And I think that made a big difference because the admissions committee could just click on my website. They can go here and they can see my publications, they can see my talks, they can see my media all in one place. So whenever we are advising students to apply for grad school, we now recommend all of them to have their own portfolio website. And the more detailed the website is, the better it is, because in one glance the admissions committee member can have an entire look about what you are as a person, and you can just tell a much better story than a resume is pretty objective, right? You cannot uh, have images, you cannot have videos, but a portfolio website lets you do all of that. You can add images and you can just tell your story in a much better manner. So this boils down to the skill of, are you good at web development, or rather I should say, can you develop a web application on your own? Can you build a website and deploy it? Earlier, I used to think that web development is a pretty hard skill, but now with the advent of LLM tools such as ChatGPT, Claude API, Anthropic, etc., it has really become easier to construct and develop your own website. So that's just one advantage. The second advantage is, imagine if you are a startup company and if you have built an AI code editor and if you want to pitch to the investors, you can just tell that, hey, I have built a code editor, these are the slides, this is my presentation. That's one way to do it. But what if you have a preliminary website which looks something like this, and when you go to the investor, instead of explaining through the pitch deck or the presentation, you show them the website and you show them that this is how the AI code editor will work and this is the value which we are providing to the customers? Wouldn't that be awesome? That will create a much greater impact for the investors. Similarly, if you are an AI art generator company and if you want to go for fundraising, or if you just want to demonstrate the value of what you have done, it really makes a lot of sense to put all of these things on a website so that everyone can see what you have done in one place. These are all highly professionally made website, but we can do a reasonably good job in a quick amount of time, as we'll demonstrate through this webinar. And not just for AI. If this is a company of one of our friends from IIT Madras, they started a company called Shopflow. Now they have raised a pretty decent amount of money. I especially like their website because the UI UX is good. They clearly convey the value addition to their customers. And having a good website really helps in established startups as well, not just if you're looking for fundraising. Finally, this is a website which we have built in our company. Since we work at the intersection of AI and education, we have built several AI and education tools. So then we thought of hosting a lot of these tools on a website so that you can just click on each and explore. Today, what we are going to build is one of these tools, which is essentially MCQ generator. So whatever we are going to build today, you can think of as a generative AI based tool which is hosted on a website. So web development is a pretty useful skill. On top of that, if you are a startup working in generative AI, or if you have done a project in generative AI, such as you have used generative AI to develop MCQs, and you just want to host it on a website so that anyone can come and check out what you have done, then we'll teach you how to build such a generative AI web app in today's webinar. So it's highly relevant in today's times, especially to, first of all, learn web development, not just for grad school applications or for startup demonstrations, but even if you have an established startup, to have a website like this, it's very important. And secondly, if you are just doing a project, if you are an engineering student, or if you are working and if you have done a project and you want to demonstrate it to your manager, instead of just having a PPT, if you know how to build a website and if you host your project on a website, then that makes a much better impact. So we are going to teach you today how to host your generative AI web application and how to deploy it so that anyone can access it. I hope that's enough motivation for you to be excited for this webinar and get started with it. This is the team who has developed this webinar, including the co-founders, which is me, Dr. Rajat and Dr. Sridhar. And today we also have amazing members from our product team who have worked very hard to put this webinar together, Abhijit, Sahil, and Saurav. So they'll be taking you mostly through all uh, of the subsequent parts of this webinar. We have conducted multiple such webinars before, including on machine learning, on grad school applications, DSA, GitHub. But this is the first webinar which we are conducting on web app development. Okay, so here's the agenda which we'll be following today. Before we get started, can you guys put in the chat if you know about HTML and CSS? You can just say yes or no. If you know about what HTML means, what CSS means, um, okay, so that's pretty good. So if you know what HTML, what CSS is, that's good. We'll build on top of that, and then we'll go into JavaScript, how it differs from HTML, CSS. Then we'll go into React. How many of you know about React or have heard about React? Can you just type yes or no? Okay, so here we can see a 50-50 split between yes and no. So we'll cover React from the basics. The website which we'll be building today will be built using React.js. And then what we'll do is that once the website is built, we will integrate an LLM API into our project so that it will be a generative AI based application. And then finally, we will be, as I told you, we will be doing the interactive session through GitHub. So please create the GitHub account. So the hands-on demo which Sahil, Saurav, and Abhijit have planned for you, that is through GitHub. So I encourage, in fact, it is required that all of you do have a GitHub account. And finally, we'll be hosting your website. So let's get started with today's webinar. Saurav will be covering the first part, which is creating the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and taking the website to a good shape using React. So I'll just stop sharing my screen.
Yeah. Just a second. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Raj. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So from here, I will take you forward. So first, when you think about any web application or a structure of a website, there are mainly basically three things. One is HTML, one is CSS, and another is JavaScript. So HTML is like it is a skeleton. So when you think about a human body, so this is the main structure about your body, right? So this HTML is basically for web application also. It actually the structure of web application. You can think like that. Then CSS actually give the styling, the coloring, then what like the here, the this decoration we can make using CSS. And JavaScript is like provide functionalities like how the brain actually works in our human body, like the blood circulation. So this functionality we can achieve through JavaScript. So these are three things we have to know. I am assuming that some of you may know about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but I am assuming that uh, anyone doesn't know about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So that's why I'm deciding to tell about that. Now, what is basically HTML? So HTML is not a programming language. It is basically it stands for hypertext markup language. Means it is not a programming language. So programming language basically do some calculation or something like that. But HTML doesn't do that. What HTML does, HTML provides us some elements that we can directly paste in our this VS Code or something, then that whatever element is pasted inside, that can be reflected in our original website. So this is basically an HTML. And let's say we want to add some content, like this is a simple HTML or CSS template, right? Then how we can add that? So this is a paragraph. So to add this, we have to write like H1, heading or P tag. So for each element, for different element, we have different tags. So this is basically an HTML. Now, the syntax, how a HTML tag look like. So when you think about an HTML element, so there are three things. One is opening tag, one is closing tag. So this tag could be different. So for paragraph, there is P tag. For image, that is IMG tag. So there are several tags. I'm not about to teach you all. So this is basically an example, like how we can write this. So this is basically the syntax. And whatever content you put inside, that will be reflected in our website. So this is how we can write HTML, right? And add in our website. Now, when you think about CSS, so if I show you, so here you can see the content is like bent, right? This is black in color. So there is no background, right? Now, using CSS, we can style this thing. Now you can see this is looking great, right? So this thing we can achieve through CSS. So CSS basically provide the styling of it. And that's how we can add this. So the rule of CSS to adding, first we have to select a selector, this P things. Let's say I want to style this paragraph. Then I have to select P here. So this is called selector. Now, this is, so there are several types of selector for CSS. There are tag selector, class selector, ID selector. There are many more. So here it is called tag selector. Then inside that, what we have to do, there are properties and value pairs. Like let's say I want to change some color. So here, before it was black, right? Now let's say I want to change the color to white. Then I can add like this, color equals to, let's say, red or white or green, like that. Also, I can change the background. So that's how we can add CSS to it. Now, when we talk about JavaScript, what JavaScript does, so let's say I have created a button, right? So any web page wouldn't be static things, right? It wouldn't be like some paragraph, some image. That is not a dynamic thing, right? So in a website, there are several things you can interact with. Let's say it is a button, or let's say it's a link, right? So when I click on a button, there is something has to trigger, some action has to taken, right? So this kind of function we can handle through JavaScript. These are the main requirement for JavaScript in our web application. So CSS, so HTML is actually provide the structure of it. Then CSS give us the styling, like how our content look like. Then JavaScript actually handle when you click in a button or something, like when you hover on a button, what happens? Like here, if we click here, like there is an alert coming, like you have clicked the button, right? Now in web application, normally JavaScript used to handle events. So events mean something happened to your system. So let's say you have clicked some on some button or hover cursor on some element, or let's say a form, you have submitted a form, or a video is play, pause. So those kind of things are event. And we actually handles this event using JavaScript. So, right. So hope you all have uh, got until this point, right? So what JavaScript does. Now, to build our modern application. So in modern application, there are no static things. So data could be changed every day, every minute, every second also. So to build modern applications, we don't prefer to just go to this native, this HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Rather, what we do, we use some libraries or frameworks. So there are some popular JavaScript libraries available. one of is React, then Next.js, then Vue.js, AngularJS. So these are some front-end library we can use to build our web application. Means the front-end part. Then for the back-end part, we can use some frameworks like Node.js, Express.js, right? So these are some popular libraries. Now, in 2024, you can see React is the most popular language. It is mostly used by many of our developers, like in a whole around the world. So that's why React is very popular. And also in our project also, we will be building this website using React. Now, so I hope until this, you already got what is JavaScript framework and why we should decide to choose React. Now, when I talk about React, so React actually, we write a JavaScript function in React. So you can see in React, we are creating a function. So this function actually called a component. And this component actually returns a JavaScript. This is the syntax of React. So here in the HTML, we just directly write the HTML tag. But in React, we write a JavaScript function. Then this JavaScript function returns a JSX element. So there is some difference between JSX element and that HTML tag. But you can say like, you will feel like you are writing HTML in React application. That's why. And React is also very, very easy to use. That's why we'll decide we'll be building this application using React application, right? So syntax of a React component is looks like that. Now, so okay, now it's time to build our application. So in today's lecture, we'll be creating a simple application. There will be some title of it, the app. Then there will be a form where we can submit some query. Then we can choose how many questions we want to generate and set the difficulty level. Then we'll be using ChatGPT API to create some questions. So that will be our basic app, basic React app. Now to start our app, first let's go to GitHub account. So I'll request everyone to log into your GitHub account. And when you log into your GitHub account, your dashboard will look like this. Can anyone confirm like you have logged into a GitHub account or not? Okay. Yeah, that's great. Now, let's say, so you don't have to do anything. I'm just showing you. I'll be creating one repo here. Then I'll be cloning this. And there I'll be, from scratch, I'll be coded, right? I'll be creating a React app. Then we'll see how you can contribute to this Git repository, right? So you don't have to do anything. So first, how to create a repo? How to create a repo? Now to create a repo, you will be getting an interface like this for creating a new repo. So let's create a new repo. You don't have to do anything. Let's see. So here you can see there is a new button, right? To create new repo. So you have to click here. Okay. Then you have to choose the owner. Who is the owner? Okay. I'm choosing me. Then let's name it as, let's name something. Let's name Gen AI. Then let's say way back. Okay, let's name something like that. Okay, then I am making this repo as public so that you all can access it. Now let's create this repository. So this is simple. Now I have created this repo in GitHub. Okay, now how to clone this in my own local things, right? Local VS Code. Now to do that, here when you create a repo, you'll get this URL. What you have to do, you have to copy this URL from here. Now you can go to VS Code or you can go to GitHub desktop, whatever you could do. But you don't have to do anything. I'm using GitHub desktop here. So here, let's add it. So how we can clone this? here you can see there an URL option. So here we have just copied this URL, right? This repo URL. Then we have to paste it here. Now, when we click on clone button, the repo will be created. Okay. Any doubt? If anyone has any doubt, you can put in the chat. I'll answer them. Okay. Yeah. I'll provide the link here. Okay. Yeah. Yes. I provided the link. Okay. Now I have cloned the repo. Now, how I can open this in VS Code. So here, let's open it in our VS Code. So let's say, okay. Okay, let's put it here. Okay. Now it is set. Now you can see this Gen AI web app. It is cloned. Now, currently it is empty. There is nothing here, right? Currently it is empty. Now, we'll be creating a new web app from scratch. Now, how to do that? To do that, first we have to open terminal. How we can open terminal? Here we have to right click, then open an integrated terminal. Now, let's create a new React app. How to create a new React app? To do that, first go to Vite. So this Vite actually a package that helps us to install React app. So this is its home page. So if you go to their documentation, like installation, there you can see how they are providing to do that. Like here, you can see. Just copy this thing and just paste it here. Okay. When you enter this, a whole new React app will be created. So let's enter it. Now name our Vite project. So let's don't put any name. Let's put it here. Okay. Now let's select which one you want to use. So vanilla means vanilla JavaScript, then Vue application, React application, React, so prelet. So we will be using React. That's why we choose React here. So let's zoom it out a little bit. Okay. Now, what we want to use? We want to use TypeScript here or JavaScript. So we'll be choosing JavaScript here. Okay. Now you can see there is an app created here. So this is public folder, source folder, and inside source folder, all of the code is there. Now, one thing is remaining. We have to install a package called npm package. npm package. So npm basically a node package that basically provides all the JS library to install in our VS Code or in our application. So that also you have to install. And how to install? We have to just type npm I. Then it will take some time to install all the packages. Yeah, now it is done. Okay. So when you create a Vite app, so this actually by default provides some UI. By default provides some UI. Let's see. Let's clear this out first. And let's see what is this UI. Now, how we can see this application? So this is a pre-built code, right? It's the template. Now, to run this, we have to run a command called npm run build. Sorry, npm run dev. Okay. When you run it, so this will create a server. And when you copy this thing, so it will create a new React app. Let's copy this thing. And let's paste it here. When you enter this, you can see this UI. So this is provided by default. Now we don't want this image or this thing. So what are you going to change? We will be removing all the things, right? Let's remove all the things. So in this presentation, I have shown you how a React app looks like. So the basic syntax of a React app is like this. First, there is a function. Then inside this function actually returns some JSX element, some HTML element, right? Now, if you go to here, if you go here, now you can see. So I'm minimizing that. Let's zoom it. Okay. Now hope you already know that. So here you can see this is a function called app. Then here we are written some JSX element. First, let's remove this out, all the things. Okay. Now let's create the div and remove all the things. And here also remove this. Okay. And in the main.css, index.css, let's remove all things. And from here, okay, just a second. Okay, remove this also, and here, remove this. Now, if you go to this page, here is nothing. So this website is running here, but if you go here, there is nothing. This is completely empty. Now, is there any doubt? You can comment it out if you have any doubt until now. Okay, I don't see anything. Okay, now let's make the website. So what we have to do first, we'll be creating a title. In the top, there will be a title. Then middle, there will be a form. And below will be list some questions that are generated. Okay, right? Now to do that, first we'll be creating a div. This is called a container, right? Now, inside the div, let's put a class name. What is a class name? Class name is a CSS property. So here I have shown you. So this is an HTML element and this is CSS, right? This is a rule set of CSS. Now to write CSS, we have to create a separate file in React. This is the best practice. For this, we have to create a class name for each element. Then we can style this up, right? So let's create a class name here and let's name it as main container. Okay. Now this is main container. Now let's open the app.css. So what is this component? This is called app component. So here you can see this is app component. This is means root component. Here we will be returning all whole code. And then for CSS, we'll be creating this app.css and we'll be writing all the styles in this inside app.css. Okay, this is clear. Now we have created a class name here to catch this div. Now we'll be writing some style. So now currently there is nothing here, right? Now if we select this class name, to select this class name, we have to choose a selector. So this is a class, this is a class selector. For that, we will be using dot, then the name of the class. What is the class name? This is main container, right? Okay, main container. Now let's put some background. Background as, let's say, something like base. Okay. Now let's see. Okay. Okay. Base. Okay. We have to provide some basic styling here. One second. So first we have to create some HTML and body. For to do that, we'll be putting some style like, let's say 100%. So this is to create our basic app. So I have removed all the styles. That's why I'm just putting some basic style here. Let's say mean height as 100 VH and let's, okay, that is enough. And okay, some let's say overflow hidden. You don't have to think about this. I'm just a second, I'm creating this. Then for this universal selector will be margin 0 Then padding, let's say 0. And then box sizing, border box. Okay. Yeah. Now we can see. Okay. We have to put some element. Now let's go to our app.css. Let's remove this up and let's put, let's say, mean height. So height means, okay, first let's page. Okay. So let's put some background here. Let's say change this up. This to red. Okay. Now what will happen when you open this website? So the whole container is becoming red, right? This is called background property. This is we are providing using CSS. Now let's change it to some normal color because red is not an appropriate color. Let's put some beige. Okay. Now inside this main container, let's put another element. Let's put h1 tag. Okay. This is an HTML element. Now let's put some text title. Okay. Now let's see what happens. So here you can see this is displayed here, right? But the title is in the left hand side, right? So this is the basic structure. So there is no style, there are no, so title is like black. This is the default style. Now we want to style this up. To style this, first we have to create a layout. So layout like flex layout will be providing some basic styling to this main container. So to do that, we will be using flex. So sorry, display as flex, and then justify content as center, then or just remove this thing, align items as center, then let's put some gap here as 50 pixel. Okay, now let's see. Now we can see the title is here, but we don't want to do that. So we want to style this title. Okay, we want to style this title. Now let's put flex direction is column. Okay, now you can see this is in the center. Okay, now let's see. I want to style this h1 thing. Now how to do that? There are two things. We can directly select this h1. So you don't have to understand about this. You don't have to understand about this thing. Start from here. We'll be starting from here. Now to style this, let's take h1. Okay, this is a select. We can select h1 tag selector. Okay, now let's put some color here. Let's put color as, let's say, red. Okay, and to provide red color. Now you can see this is transforming to red. So before, if I comment this out, it was black. It was black. Now if I change the style, it has become red. Okay. Now let's say I want to change the font size. Let's say font size to, let's say, large. Okay. Okay, this is very small. We can also provide the pixels also. Let's say I want to provide 92 pixel. Okay. Now this is like looking like this. Okay. Now let's put some, let's say, text shadow. What is meant text shadow? Text shadow means there will be some 3D effect like this, some shadow effect. Let's see how we can do that. So let's say text shadow. Let's put 1 pixel, then 1 pixel, then let's 10 pixel, and let's put some color like 999. Okay. Now let's see. Now you can see there are some subtle shadow behind this text, right? So that's how we can style this thing. Okay. Hope until this you have understood how we can create a basic React app and we can style a tag like h1 tag. Okay. Now we'll see how we can contribute in GitHub. So to do that, first we have to push these changes in our GitHub. So we have created this app here, right? So when you refresh this up, So let's say I refresh this. So there is nothing, right? There is nothing. Now I want to reflect the change, whatever app I have created here. I want to put this in the GitHub. I want to push this in the GitHub so that you can fork and you can contribute to it. How to do that? To do that, first we have to add it in the Git. So for that, we'll be using Git add dot, then put some commit. So Git commit. You don't have to remember anything. I'll be showing how we can do that. So let's say project is created. Okay. Then, so when you click this, so all the files you have created, that is being staged up, right, in the GitHub. So now we have to post this thing. So to do that, we have to write git post. Okay. We can write like origin main. Okay. Now, if I post this thing, you can see these 18 files are changed, right? Now, if I go to here and just refresh it, now you can see this is the whole application has reflected here. So here are public file, source file, right? So here also public file, source file also. Now, I'll be showing you how you can contribute to this Git repo. First, I'll be sharing this URL with you. Can anyone check this? So everybody, you can go to this link, and then what you have to do here, can you see there is a fork option, right? There's fork option, right? Okay, let's see. I also copy this thing. Now let's go to my different account. Okay. Now let's see, I also do that. So I have copied. Okay. I go to this repo. Now this is my different profile, right? That profile is not same. Okay. Now what I have to do here, you can see there is a fork option, right? Fork 0, currently fork 0. So first you have to fork it. And when you fork it, you can name it. So let's say I put the same name. Then I just create the forking. Okay, it will take some time. And here you can see I have forked from this repo. My repo is different. My ID is different, sort of this thing, but this repo is different. Okay. Now let's see. I want to do something. I want to change something in this repo. How do I contribute? How I can contribute? To do that in VS, you can copy this thing. You can clone this repo in your VS Code. That is one way. But I can show you how simply you can do that. So to do that in VS Code, to do that, let me show you. Just a second. To do that in VS Code, you have to click dot. First, you will be opening this repo. Here I can open this repo. Now, if I click dot here, just dot, now you can see a new VS Code is open in my browser itself. I don't have to install VS Code. I can change from here itself, right? Now, what you have to do, let's go to any file. Let's go to app.js file, right? Here I have written the code. Now you can see whatever code I have written in the different repo, that is reflected. Now let's say I want to change this title. Let's say I want to change this title to something else. Let's say React app or Gen AI app. AI app. Okay. Gen AI app. Now I have changed the code. App changed the code. Now when you change the code, in the left hand side, you can see the change is reflected. Can you see? So if I zoom it up, okay. So when I click here, you can see this app.js file is modified. Okay. Now, what I have to do, I have to change, I have to put a commit message. Now, everyone, you can clone this repo. I am requesting you to clone the repo and just open the VS Code in your app. And then when you change the app, and everyone should change the title. Okay. Then when you change the title, let's put your first name first. Let's say I put my first name. Okay. Then the change, what I have changed. Let's say,
Saurav, just sorry to interrupt. Can you also show how to do this directly using the GitHub's code editor instead of opening VS Code on Chrome? You can also directly edit using the GitHub's code editor, right?
okay, yeah.
It will be easier so that people don't have to clone or anything. They can directly fork and make the change.
Okay, that is also possible.
Yeah, I think that will be easier for today's webinar.
Okay. So now let's say you want to change some changes from here. Now let's say, okay, this VS Code is open. Okay, let's let's see this. Okay, let's say title is modified. Okay, now if I post this changes, so it will be changed here. So okay, now you can see there is no changes here, means it is reflected. Now if I go back here, you can see if I refresh this up, now I can see your changes reflected here. This is your new comment. So what you can directly do also, like if you go to here and if you directly change this up here itself, let's say I have to change this thing. Okay. Um, okay, see that, can you show like currently I'm not able to do.
If you open the file to edit
Yeah.
and you click that, you see that pencil icon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, then you can directly edit here. So I think people can do this. This is much easier, and then they can create a pull request.
Yes, even here, create here.
Yeah.
I put some changes here, and let's say commit changes. I put some change. Okay. Then if you, I think if you go, if you create a pull request here, so you'll create a new pull request. It means whatever you have changed, you want to contribute to the main repo, right? So here you can see, this is my main repo, Saurabh Jana, right? And this is my change repo, like this is your repo. Now from here, if you create a pull request, so I have create pull request for this, right? So title, I'm changing to this thing. So I'm asking everyone to change this, and we'll be seeing how we can contribute this thing and how we can mask this thing. So when you create this pull request, let's put some change. Sort of. Yes. And when you create the pull request, okay, yeah, the pull request is created. Okay, this you have to do. Then it is done. Then what I'll do, I'll go to here and I'll be mark the pull request. Here I can see, so this pull request is created here. So I'm requesting everyone to fork the repo and to change the title, whatever you think you could change this up. Then create a pull request, and then I'll accept this. I'll mark this whatever title is appropriate for this. So I'll be giving him 5 minutes. So can you do that, everyone? So currently I'm seeing nothing. So if anyone has any doubt, you can ask.
Saurav, maybe you can just show quickly which button to click to fork, and then which file to change, and how can they change directly from GitHub editor itself. Maybe you can just
Okay, okay,
demonstrate it once quickly.
okay. Let's say not this one. This one. Yeah. Okay. First, what you have to do? First, I'm sharing this link. Okay. Now you have to go to your browser, then just go to this repo and just fork it here from here. Can you see fork here? Now, when you click here, fork it, then it will be creating a new repo. I have already created this. That's why it is not showing me, displaying it, right? Now, what you have to do when you fork it, it will be looking like this, right? It will look like this. Okay. Okay, not this one. Okay, let's go to my repo. Okay, yeah, this is my fork repo, right? Okay, when you go to here, now let's go to your code, any file, choose any file. I want to change this title, right? Now here, I have go to this app.js file. Now I'll be clicking this edit button. So here, you can see there is pencil button. So you can go to edit. And here, you can change the name. Let's say, and to change it to 3, right? GenAI app 3. So this is not an appropriate name. You should provide this. And then we'll be reflect this in our original website, right? Then when it is done, then you have to click commit changes, right? Then whatever message you want to put. So first you have to put your name. Let's say I put my name. So let's say Saurabh 3. Then whatever I have changed, let's say modify it. Okay. Then just commit change. Okay. The change is created here, right? Then go to pull request here in the top. Can you see there is pull request here, right? Now click on pull request. So let's create a new pull request. Okay. And okay, I have already created the pull request. That's why it is not showing. Otherwise, it will show to you, shown to you. Okay. And here you can choose from which repo to which repo. And here you have to click the pull request it from here. Then we can merge it. Okay, let's see how much pull request is there. Okay, now I am in my original repo. Now I can see there are 6 pull requests. I ask more participants to do that. Okay, let's see what Manish has modified. Okay, let's see the changes. But okay, he has done some learning like that. So I don't think this is appropriate title. So let's see, let's go to another. So let's say, yeah, I got another message, updated app.jsx. Okay. The guys put a perfect name, right? Perfect title. So this is not appropriate title. Okay. I can see the changes all you have made. Okay, GNI Orban. Put a generic name. Okay, let's see what Aninda has created. I think Aninda has created the same thing. Okay, I'm not finding anything to put. Okay, I think GenAI app, let this. Just put any name, right? Any generic name. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think this is better, right? GenAI app by Vizuara AI. Okay. Now let's merge this commit. Commit from Sarian, right? Okay. Now to do that, I'll be clicking here, merge pull request. Now let's see. So I'm confirming merge. Okay. Now it is merged. Now, if we go to here and let's say this app.jsx, now I can see the title is changed like this, right? But if I go to my VS Code, the title is still here. Now, how to reflect the changes from GitHub to here? To do that, what we have to do, we have to create a pull request. Now we have to write git pull origin main. Okay. Now if I do that, now you can see immediately it is changed to whatever I have merged to this application, right? So that is how you can contribute to any GitHub repo. Okay. Hope now you have understood. Okay, I think there are 13 more. Okay. Now let's move forward. Okay, the title is created. Okay, so it is looking like that. Let's decrease this thing a little bit. Okay, font sizes, let's take 72. And let's put some padding over this thing. To do that, okay, let's put padding. Let's put as, let's say, 30 pixel. What it means by that means it provides the space from the borderline of it, right? If I make it, let's say 100, now I'll be seeing the space is increased by 100 pixel, right? So that's how, let's put it as 30. Okay. Now the title is done. Now let's create a form. Let's create a form. Now to create a form, we'll be creating another section, right? Another container. And for that, we'll be creating a div, right? And similarly, we'll be providing a class name. Okay. And name it as, let's say, form container. Okay. Clear? Now let's style it up. How we can style this up? Let's select this class. What is the name of it? Form container, right? And then let's put some background. Let's say background as, let's say put some white background. Okay. So FFF means white background, full. Okay. This is the color code that we are providing. And let's put some height width. Height means height of the div. And let's say height put as 50 pixel. Okay. 500 pixel. And let's say width as, width also let's take 500 pixel. Okay. Now let's see how our div looks like. Now you can see this is our form container is created. So can you see a white portion in the middle? This is basically a form. Okay. Now, in spite of height, let's make it as mean height. Means when you put some content inside this container, the container height will increase. The width, we don't want to increase. We want to increase the height. That's why we are providing mean height. Minimum height as 500 pixel. I don't want to understand all the properties, right? You can explore them one by one, but I'm showing you how in the basic, how a general form is created, right? So first we have created this div, then let's put some style. So this is like black, right? So white, right? Now let's put some box shadow. What is box shadow? Box shadow basically defines us. Let's try to code this fast. Let's say 1 pixel, 10 pixel, and let's put as like let's say 999. Okay. Now we can see there are some shadow outside of the div, right? Now if I comment this out, there will be nothing. There will be nothing. Now if I put the box shadow, you can see like there is some 3D effect like things, right? Now what is the next thing? Now let's say I want to put some border radius to it. Now it is rectangular shape, right? Now let's say I want to put some border radius. So to do that, I'll put border radius at say, let's say 10 pixel. Okay. Now you can see there are some border radius is applied. Let's say I want to increase this to 20 pixel. Okay. And I can see the border radius is changed. Now, if I put 200 pixel, it will be look like this. Okay. That's how we can change the shape of any HTML element. Okay. Okay. Now this is created. Okay. In the form, what will be there? First, there will be a text box for query, right? To enter query. Then there will be a range, like how many question you want to generate. And then the third section will be some select box, right? So there will be three things. Now to do that, first we'll be creating a div here. Okay. And okay, before creating this, we will be putting some style, same style here also, like display flex. Okay. Why? It is to align them. So flex is basically an alignment property in CSS to align a different component in our HTML element, right? And let's put some gap here. Gap is, let's say 50 pixel. Okay. Then inside this div, so what we want to show? We want to show a label and an input box. So let's create this out. Let's create a label. Let's remove all the things. We'll make it as simple as possible. Let's put as like enter query. And then we'll be putting an input box to input the text. So it will be of type text. And then we'll be putting some placeholder to it. So placeholder means, so let's say if you show currently, it is looking like this, like, so this is a label, what we have written here. So let's comment it out first. Now, if we put only label, it is showing like this. And if we put input box, then it is looking like this. So these two things are basically inline properties. So it can display in inline, same line. So we don't want to do that. We want the label and input box as one after another. Now to do that, what we have to do? First, this div. So inside this form container, whatever the child div, that we have to make the full width. Means, let's say dot form container, and then div child selector equals to, then let's say put some width as 100%. Okay. So this means it will occupy the whole width. So here you can see it is now starting from the left. Now there are no space here, right? In the top or in the below. So to do that, we'll be putting some padding here in the form. Now let's put some padding here. Let's say 40 pixel. Okay. Now you can see there is some space in top and bottom, right? In the top and bottom, left, right, right? There is some space. Now this is done. It is aligned in the middle, right? Now let's say I want to put this input below to it, in the below, right? Now to do that, first we have to select the label. What is this tag? It is label, right? Now let's select label and put some CSS property like, let's say display, and put block. Means now it will occupy the whole width of this thing. Now you can see this is come one after another, right? Now also there is no gap, right? Now let's put some padding bottom. Let's say padding bottom as, let's say 10 pixel. Okay. Now what will happen? There will be some space in between the two containers, right? Now in the input section, okay, in the input section, there is nothing written here, right? But we want to show something to the user, like please enter the query or something like that. So let's put placeholder here. Or let's say enter placeholder. Okay, I'm writing like this. Okay. Now you can see something is displayed in place of placeholder, right? When you type it out, when you type something, there will be that placeholder will be not be shown, but when you remove this out, you can see this placeholder, right? Now this text size is very small. We don't want to increase the font size. Now how to do that? First, I'll be selecting this label. Okay. Now I'll be go to this label. Now I'll be change the font size. Now to do that, CSS have different property because font size as large. Okay. Now let's see. When you put large, it is showing like this. Okay. Let's put larger. Now let's see. Okay. Now I can see this is much better, but this is still small. Let's put some different things. Let's put 32 pixel. Okay. Now let's see. Okay. Now it is bigger. Now let's decrease this thing. Let's put as like 24 pixel. I think this is fine. Okay. And some, let's say font weight. Put some font weight as let's say bold. Okay. Now I can see, okay, this is 50 bold. Let's put as, make it as 500. Okay. Now this is looking great. Now the input size is very small. Now we want to change the style also here also. Now to do that, first to select this input, first we have to provide the class name here. Class name, and then put some class name like, let's say, query input. Okay. Now here, when you want to style, let's say query input. Okay. Now first thing, what I want to do, I want to increase the placeholder, that font size, right? Okay. Let's put font size as, let's say, 24 pixel. Okay. Now I can see the input size is increased. Okay. Now there are no such space, right? There are no such space. So let's put some padding here. Okay. Let's put some padding here. So let's padding as 10 pixel. Okay. Now let's see. Now you can see there are some gap in between the text and the input, right? But still the input size is very small, right? We want the input size to fill the screen. Okay. Or fill the div. Now to do that, we need to provide the width of it. So width is like 100%, means it will occupy the 100% of its parent's width. Okay. Now you can see this is occupied the full width. Okay. Now what is the next thing? Let's put some. Okay. Let's remove the border. So border equals to none, and put some box shadow. Let's copy this thing. Okay. And let's post it here. Okay. Now you can see currently our input is looking like this, and put some border radius also. Some border radius as let's say 10 pixel. Now let's, okay. Now our input is looking like this. Now I don't think the placeholders is appropriate. So similarly, first I will push the changes to this repo, and then I'll ask, I'll request everybody to change to contribute to this GitHub account, and whatever you think, whatever appropriate placeholder you think it will be appropriate. So you can put these changes in the GitHub. So first I'll be push these changes. Let's say git add dot, then git commit. And let's put on. Just the form is created. Okay. Then git post. Okay. Yeah. I pushed the changes in the repo. Then now when you go to this repo, so here you can see this commit is reflected. So I'm asking everyone, I'm requesting everyone to just go to your VS Code, just sync the repo. So I'll show you how to sync the repo. If you go to here. So whatever change I have done in my website, let's say I have here, okay, not this one. Just a second. Okay, yeah. Now, when you go to your GitHub page, yeah, there you will be showing this, you will be getting this sync repo, right? Now, when you, okay, there you can show, let's open the pull request first. Okay, let's remove this thing. Can you just refresh this thing, or let's say update, fork? And just I ask everyone to update this thing and just contribute whatever you find the placeholder would be appropriate. Just put this. So currently there is some problem in my repo. I'm asking everyone to do that. Just string the fork, okay, and then change whatever you want to. Then we'll be providing this in our placeholder. Can everyone do this? So this placeholder, we want to change some text here. And can you guys go to your repo and change? And we'll be merging this thing. So basically that's how we can contribute to a GitHub repo. And okay, I can see. Oh, okay, this is not. Guys, can you create pull repo, pull request? Okay, yeah. Okay, Bhavesh has changed. What's in it? Okay, yeah. Okay, let's take this and let's merge this thing. Yeah, thanks, Bhavesh. We can merge this thing. Okay, let's merge it. Yeah. Okay. And here also we can see, okay, enter the query. We can do this also. Okay, anyhow. Okay, now I have merged it. Let's pull this thing. Git pull. Okay. Let's change the placeholder itself. Let's enter the code. Enter query. Okay. So now if you go to your here you can see enter query. Okay. So this is one thing. Now let's create another thing for difficulty level and for number of questions. So select number of questions. So let's say here, let's write number of questions. Okay. This is same label, and for input type, so this will not be a text input, it will be a range input. So let's put it as range. And the class name, let's make it like questions input. Okay. And here we don't need placeholder, and here what we have to do first, let's see how it is looking like. So here you can see the number of question range input is basically look like this. Now we have to style this up. Now to do that, first we have to uh, provide some attributes like the mean value and max value of it. So let's put like mean is and mean like 1, and let's put max, let's say 10. Okay. So main value is 10 and max value is 1. Okay, and put some style here. Let's check this out. Question input. Question input. And then put some style like, let's put width equals to 100%. Let's make it full, occupy the full width of the screen. Okay. Okay, now our range input is looking like this. And similarly, let's put the number of difficulty level. Okay, level of difficulty. Okay, let's name it as simple difficulty. Then here we will not provide any text input. Rather, what we will provide will be provide a select input. To do that, in HTML, we have another thing called select. So we will change select and make it simple. Okay. And inside select, so when you create a select input, basically it will look like this. Here we have to provide the option. Okay. Now let's provide some option. To do that, in HTML, we have option tag. And in option, we have to write whatever you want to show. Let's say first option is like easy. Okay. Then put some value like this. Similarly, for medium and hard, create three different options. Let's say medium and medium. And then for hard, let's create hard. Okay. Now let's see how it looks like. Okay. Now currently, this is very small. Okay. But we are getting this values, right? Select easy, medium, hard. Right. Now let's similarly add some class name here. Let's say difficulty input. Okay. And style it up. Go to our CSS file and select this thing and put some style. Let's put the same style, whatever is here. Just a second. Okay. Okay, now let's see. Now you can see this is a select input. Okay. So currently difficulty is easy. Now let's change to medium. There you can see this is medium. Okay. Now this is done. Okay. Then what we have to do? The form is created. Now we have to create another button to submit the form, right? To do that, we will be creating a button. So to create a button in HTML, we have button tag. And let's put this. And let's put name as generate questions. Okay. Now if you see, so this is basically a button, but the button text is very small, right? Now let's style it up. Okay. Now to do that, let's put a class name here and name it as submit button. Okay. Now let's select this button dot submit button. Okay. Currently, the button is looking like this. So first thing, I want to increase the text. So let's say font size, let's make it as 20 pixel. Okay. Now this is looking like this. Now let's add some padding here, right? So to do that, let's add some padding. Let's say 10 pixel. Okay. Now there are some gap in between, right? Then let's make it full width, right? Make it full width. Now to do that, make it width as 100%. Now you can see this is occupying the whole div. Okay. Now there is no such color, right? The background is black. Now let's change the background also. Let's change background as, let's say, um, red, green as full. Where's this? Okay, let's put background like this. Now, in spite of this background, the simple solid color, we can make linear background. We can provide linear background. Now, to do that, how we can put linear background, linear gradient? To do that, we have to write. Let's see how it works. Now, you don't have to remember anything. Just share, just watch. Right. Then let's put some color, like let's say orange and like yellow. Okay. Now, when you see, so there are some color. There are two colors, right? In the left, there is orange. In the right, there is yellow. And there is some transition, some linear transition of color. This is called linear gradient. Means in spite of providing solid color, we can provide linear gradient also. This is one way to provide the background color, right? So in spite of orange, if we want to change the color from here, let's say I don't want the orange. Let's say I want different thing. Let's say this thing from left, and from right, let's put like, let's say some teal kind of thing or blue kind of thing. Okay. Okay. Now let's see. It is not looking great. Let's change something. Let's put some orange, and here let's put something like, you can select whatever you want. Some reddish kind of thing. Now you can see there are some color is applied, right? In the left side, it is like yellow, light yellow. In the right side, it is like orange. Okay, let it be. And put some style, like I want to change the text color. Okay, how I can do that? To do that, I have to change the color of the text. Color as, let's say, I want to put white. For white, we can put color code like triple F. Okay, this is full. Now you can see the color is changed. And I also, let's say, I want to change the font to bold. Let's say font weight to bold. Let's say bold. Okay. Now font weight is bold. Now let's say I want to change the padding. Padding is little less. Let's put this. And let's say border as none. And some border radius as, let's say, 10 pixel. Okay. Now you can see our button is looking like this. But the problem is when you hover over this, there is no cursor, right? This is an arrow, right? So let's change it out. So let's change the pointer. Pointer to, sorry, cursor to pointer. Okay. Now this is done. Now let's say I want, when I hover over this element, I want the background to change something or text color to change something. I want to put some, let's say, box shadow or some border, right? Whatever style I want to change. Now to do that, first I have to select this one. And guys, I'll not do that. You can do that. You can contribute to this. Let's see how your styling is, right? Let's say Uber, let's say Uber state. Let's put background. It's the same thing, but in spite of right, I want it from left. Okay. I'm not changing anything. I'm just putting the background, that linear gradient, the background color. So currently it is in the left, it is yellow. In the right, it is orange, right? Now, when I hover over this, the color is interchanged, right? So that's how you can do this thing. You can do another things also, like box shadow, text color, whatever you want. Okay. So what I will request you, So let's remove this background thing and let's do it by your own. Okay. So I have just
Saurav,
put this
sorry
CSS
to
thing.
interrupt. Can we skip that part because we might be running out of time, so we'll get the next part also. We'll pick simple styling.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, let's put this thing. Okay. Now let's see how we can handle this thing, handle this input. Now to handle this input in React, there are some state available. Okay. Now to do that, first, let's say I want to handle the query. Whatever input user has provided, I want to store this in a state. Now to do that in React, we have some state. And to create a state, first we have to write a constant, take a constant. Then whatever the variable we want to take as state. Let's say I want to say as query. Okay. And there are some function, state query. Then, so there is a hook available in React called use state. When you use state, so it will create a hook. It is basically used to store a variable. That could be anything. That could be object, that could be text, anything. So that we'll use for to handle the state. Now, similarly, for query, for number of question or for difficulty level, we'll be creating another three, right? Another three state. So I'm just copy paste this thing and I'll just change this thing. So let's say for number of question, so let's say number of question, and here also name state number of questions. Okay. Now let's put it as 5. And similarly, to handle the difficulty level, let's put as difficulty. And let's name the function as set difficulty. Okay. Now let's make it this. Now, the another thing is when we write something, when we enter something like this text, we want this text to store inside our state. Now to do that, we'll be creating 3 functions. So the help of JavaScript will be when it so means when a user change something, when a user put something here, means when there are some change in the input, we want to do some work, like we want to whatever value user has provided, we want to store this in the state. Now to do that, JavaScript provides us a special function called onChange function. Means you can see the input. Now let's say when user enter something, like enter something, we will be taking this value from the input and will be storing this value inside this query state. Now how to do that? To do that, we'll be creating a function. So on change, JavaScript provide us a function called on change. And when there are some change in this query, so let's create a function called handle. Let's say query input change. Okay, this is a function. So when there is some change in this input field, this function will be called. And what will be this function? Let's create this function first. And what it will take an event, and what it will return, So what a set query, whatever, sorry, set query, whatever the e dot target dot value, means when you enter something in this input box, this target means the input, whatever the value you have provided, that I want to set this inside this query, right? That's why I have created this function, right? This is for handling the query. Similarly, for handling number of questions, let's create another 2 function. Let's say handle number of question input change, and let's say to input change. Okay. And similarly for this, for this, on change, I want to provide this function. Okay, handle number of question change. And for difficulty, when you change something, when you select easy, medium, or hard, then also and provide this function. And this is done. And also when you click on this button, like when you click on generate question, then on submit this, on submit, uh, let's say, let's create another function. So, or let's say on click. Okay. So when I click on this button, so we want to do something. And for to do that, we'll be creating another function. Let's say handle submit. Okay. Let's create this function. So when we submit this, what we want, let's say a dot, let's say prevent default. Okay. So what I want, whatever the value is stored here, okay, whatever the value stored here, I want to display them. Let's say how to display, let's say console this thing. Console first query, then similarly console the number of questions and console the difficulty. Okay. And here let's change the functions here. No, this one. Okay. Okay. Also here provide something like number of questions. Number of questions. Okay. Now our form is looks like this. Now if we inspect this, if you go to console, let's clear this out. Just a second. Okay. Now let's say I enter some query, some dummy things. Okay, some dummy things, and let's say I select 5. Okay, number of question is 5, and difficulty level, let's say medium. And now when I click this, so you can see the query is this one. Okay, then number of question is 5 and difficulty level is medium. So that's how we handle the input in a form. Okay, this was the basic example. And from here, Sahil will present this up and he will show how we can call a ChatGPT API to generate questions from here, where you can enter the query and select number of question and select difficulty level, then question will be generated from here. So I'll hand over to Sahil from here. Just stop. Just a second.
Yeah, thanks, Saurav.
I'm not able to stop
Uh,
here.
am I added as a collaborator? Is that
Okay, okay. Just, uh, okay.
all right? Okay.
Uh, I'm actually not able to stop the screen sharing.
I'm screen sharing. Okay, it's all right. I'll just continue. Can you share me the link once more of the repo?
Just a second.
Sure.
Mm,
Thank you. Okay. Hi all. So yes, LLM APIs, some of them are paid since most of them require to be like requires some hardware course, they tend to be paid. So do all of you know what an API is? Do you want me to explain it briefly once? Like, can you reply on the chat once? And I'll go accordingly. Right. Okay. Okay, I'll just explain it in brief then. So let me go here. Okay, so an API is, let me just try to, okay, go here. Okay, so you have your application right now here, right? So if we have this application where we did all of our JavaScript code and you have this code here, okay, and you have ChatGPT servers and I mean OpenAI servers or maybe like Anthropic servers and all of them, and whatever we have, the large language model is run in their servers, right? So what we do is we need to send some kind of request. Okay, that sort of generated a prompt, number of questions and all of that. We need some mechanism where we can just send this to OpenAI. We are like basically requesting, and then we need some kind of a response. And in what format do we send all of this? Uh, so we need some kind of a mechanism, right? So this API or application programming interface. Uh, okay, I'll skip writing that. It's just a set of protocols or instructions. So even if you want to send a PDF, let's say to ChatGPT in their API, so you'll send whatever request there is. Okay, this is the prompt, etc. in a specific manner. Like there will be a format for the API, which is understandable by the system. So this is completely automated, right? So we send a particular message and maybe we also attach a PDF file with it. Uh, that's completely up to you. So that is depending on what the API provides to. So maybe OpenAI API allows you to just ask a prompt and it will give you a response. That is one way. It can also have maybe something else. So whatever it is defined in the API. So if you have a software, so let's say I have a software which is just a calculator, and I'll provide a calculator API. So if you ask me what is sum of and you give me two inputs, I will just respond. So I can run this in a computer and I can call this a calculator API. So just like that, we have the OpenAI API and we are just using that to communicate with the large language model. All right. So I hope you have a base with that. Now let me go back here. I hope you understood that. Okay. Now let me go to Visual Studio so that I can open this repo up. I can clone this repository. Just paste this link. Okay. They're asking where I'll clone it to. I'll just say documents. Okay, now it's cloning. Just open it. Let me just reshare once more. Okay. I hope you can see this. Okay, now we'll go find where okay, we have all of his whatever he has done beforehand here. So before that, so that all of these things are all we just copied the folders, so uh, we don't have any of the other component, whatever he installed, anything like that, we don't have it. So we'll just run that and whatever is in this. So even if I start installing something else here, that will be added to whatever packages I'm installing, which he used npm to install. So I'll just go take a new terminal. I'll first just do npm install. That means that whatever he's used or whatever is there as part of the project, I'll install it for myself too. So all of that has come up here. And now I need to install a package which will help me integrate the API too. So that is OpenAI. So OpenAI has all of the okay. npm install OpenAI. Yeah, so we have to install OpenAI. All right, so that is installed, and it will probably pop up here too. Yeah, we have this. So now if I commit this back to the code and this file is changed and Saurav installs it again, he'll have OpenAI. He doesn't need to go install OpenAI, right? So the next thing I have to do is I have to get the OpenAI API key, right? So let me go here and if you go to the like OpenAI API keys, like platform.openai, we can directly get it. And they have the API reference too. You can create a new secret key. I think if you have a new account, it's for free, like $5 worth of it is free. So I already have an API key, but you can just create an API key here, and then I won't be using this API key. And you'll get a key just like this, which you can copy. So for now, I'll be using my own API key. Okay, I'll just copy the API key I have. And I'll need to paste it into an env file here. So let me just keep that for now. Um, I'll just keep, I won't copy it yet. So since I'm not going to code the entire thing again, we have that added, and we'll add one more state. This is just to see that if we send the prompt, if it's loading or not. If you go back to Visual Studio and our app, okay. Okay, we have all of this. We have all of these state variables which we added. We'll add this too. The same it's not used. Okay. Go back here. And this is a function which we'll be writing. Let me just copy that first. It just has the prompt template and the handle submit. Okay. Okay, handle submit, I think we have written before. I'll just quickly add this up. Okay, we have this handle submit, and it's currently this. So let me add this here. Okay. So an OpenAI is not defined because we have not imported it here. So let me just correct. Okay, so that is imported. So we haven't used is loading it the same. And some of these values are different. So number of questions is the state. So let's change that. Difficulty is the same. And the first thing we have is a prompt, right? We'll need to send a prompt. So, okay, set is loading. That's good. Okay. Yeah. So this is the prompt which you're going to give. And uh, it has to question the options, okay, the correct option difficulty. This is what we're giving. It's a template prompt. You can play around with it. You can, if any prompt you want. But this is a basic structure of a prompt which you could give. You can even pass in some state variables or something. So if you have something which you can adjust, like maybe a drop down and like let's say a number of questions, for example. Okay, I see some questions. Okay, you want. All right, let's just thing directly to API migration. Okay. All right. So yeah, we'll get to that. So yeah, we just import the API key next, which we got like the secret, and which is saved in this, right? And this is in the environment file, so which we don't have here. Let's create one .env, and this is what it is, right? So we'll just define it there. So we'll say that as equal to. I'll just copy this again, space that. I forgot quotes. Okay, now it will be fine. And when I'm committing it, I don't need to commit the env file too. So I'll just, because you have to use your own API, so I'll just not commit this. So this will just ignore your .env. So what this will help is when I push it, it will just not push this env file. Okay. And I have some more errors. So it's set generated questions. And I think I'll just, let's not use this one. This is what it does, right? Okay. And we have one more error. And yeah, so that is the main function where we just set all of this and we have our model also like defined here. We are using GPT-4 mini and we have the prompt message which is sending from there, which is this. Okay.
Sahil,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I think for storing the question, we have to take another state. I think that's why it was provided.
Yeah. I think we'll just just show an end-to-end replication for now since we're like slightly out of time. We won't be able to polish this app. I think it's fine now, right?
No, the JSON input, but you have changed. To store them, we will be taking another state.
Oh, right. I'll define
Yeah.
it. Uh, Query, right? Okay, wait. Where did you say?
You can create a new state like this, like is loading. Yeah, you can create a separate. Yeah.
Mm. Then do you want to take from here? I'll just show commit this
Yeah,
part.
you can create just a state like the questions and set questions and state being empty. Yeah. Questions.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And set questions. And whatever question will be generated, the JSON will be storing inside this. That's it. That will be an array, empty array. Yeah.
So it's be an empty array.
Yeah, the use state. Yeah, that will be an empty array.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
But we haven't used questions yet, right? Okay. I'll
And at the line number, yeah, 64, you can change it to, yeah, set.
It's an output.
Yeah, that's a story inside. No, I think you can store inside set questions. Means whatever the output, JSON output, that you can store there.
Wait.
Can you go to GitHub? Like,
Yep. Yeah. The other GitHub, yours. Okay.
can you go above like the state?
In the same thing.
Yeah. In the sense, yeah, here.
Yeah.
Can you go above? Yeah, here you can see it like
Okay.
yeah, just copy this thing.
Then it's okay. This state, this is the same thing, right? That you were telling me.
Yeah. So, you can remove the questions like the line number 9. That you can remove. Yeah.
Okay.
Now here in the 64 and 68, you can change it to yeah, whatever.
I could handle those error.
Yeah, I think I'll just, so what I'll do for now is I'll commit these changes, and that I can do by saying git add dot, and we can even commit it from here, like even in this. So if you just give a message, and then I'll commit, and then I can just push it. So since I don't have a permission, so I'll have to create a fork instead. So I'm like pushing changes. So okay. So I think that's mostly it. I'll just pass to Abhijit for now, and then he can show you how to deploy this and also like fix those errors. Okay.
Abhijit, I think you are muted.
Vijit, you are muted.
Sorry. So what I will do is I will quickly give you a gist to what we are going to do in this code, and then we are going to go to the last main stuff, that is how you would deploy those. So the last part of this code is that once we get the generated code, that is generated question, we have got this from this response, right? That we have got this code from this response, and the generated output is set it out to the output is saved into the question part. So what will we do is then we will map this question and display in a order list. So this will we are going to show, and it's a basic thing. What currently going to be happen is basically you are going to say, hey, GPT API, give me some hard medium questions, and GPT will give you some question based on the prompt, and the prompt we have is basically a JSON type. We are forcing the code to give them this question in a JSON format, and this type of question would be generated. So like we are forcing this like following thing: the next question, the text of question, an array of 4 option, and the GPT would try to follow all these rule and give us some question. Now, once this question is generated, we will take this question, save this, and directly show in the list order. Till this part, I hope everyone is clear. So I will just go through the chat part if anyone having any questions. So I got disconnected where I can get this. So you could get this code from sort of, you could paste the your repo code. You will get this code from. So I think everyone is clear on this part. Now let us deploy it. So before we jump onto the deployment part, let us see some slides. So is my screen visible for slide part, or you are still getting the code?
It's in the VS Code.
Okay. So, yeah. So for project deployment, we basically, the top two like popular deployment thing is Netlify and Vercel. They basically do the same thing. They take your code and deploy it. So what happen in deployment basically? So here in the package JSON, you could see there are some things like, okay, there is the whole thing is code related thing is this. So the the any deployment thing that is Vercel or Netlify will take this code and get an idea what your code is, and then it deploys. Basically, what in deployment happen is basically it runs a command that is npm run build, and it creates a minified HTML, CSS, JS, and that is understood by web browser. That what it creates, and that's what we get. So now let us have a demo for this. So I will open my web browser, and I will quickly let me share my screen. So yeah, hopefully my browser is visible. So what I will do is I will go to versal.com, and I've already cloned this project, and I've already deployed it. So what I will do is basically uh, I will deploy it Netlify. So for this purposes, I think we could use Netlify. So I will open Netlify, and here you could see composable way to ship and build faster. So we will log in into this, and you could use your GitHub account. So you could see that I'm already logged in through my GitHub account, and uh, this is my GitHub account, and you could see the project. So what I could do is basically I will say add a new website and import from an existing project, and it is connected to my GitHub account, so it is able to access my projects, and uh, it's already authorized. So I will go to the AI question generator if I'm correct, and for this we need to add two environment variables, right? If you remember in .env files, we need to add those in this part here. So what I'm going to do is basically uh, add environment variables. And what are the environment variables we need to add? So if you remember, we can't give the AI API key directly to the code. We need to have some environment variables. And the reason why is because some like suppose there is uh, some hacker wants to know your API key, he could directly get access from your website. So when he visits your website and he checks your code, he will be able to get that API key and he could misuse it. So that is why the API, all those secrets needs to be added into the environment variable. Else it will be very difficult because some hacker or some any mischief person could take your API key and then it could misuse it. So that's why we need to have environment variables. So for this, I have, remember you already have GPT key, right? So you able to create that GPT key from OpenAI portal, right? So what we need to do is we need to create environment variable that is in the code. If I share you this one, and in the code, if you see, what we have is basically white open AI key. So you need to provide this key basically here. So if I open my Netlify account here and I reshare it here, so you need to provide that and you need to provide a value. So that is open API key. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy chat GPT open API key and I will paste it here. So and basically I will hide it because it's a secret key. And then you could see that what is the build command. Basically, when I connected my package.json, you could see it's building it, npm build, white build. Basically, it builds in HTML, CSS, and in compressed way. So it's very optimized. And we deploy it AI question generator, and it will take few seconds. In this between, we could have some Q&A. So you could see that the question is site is deploying in progress, and it's building, and hopefully it will should be built without any errors. So let us have some question Q&A. So why we need environment variables? So it's saying fail to build. So we could try to debug this basically here itself. So it's saying that build command failed, remix not found. So here we need to update or build things. So in site configuration, if we look at or build command, there it is, detail, that overview, site configuration. build and deploy. And here, it should not be remix build. It's better to use npm run build. Yeah, let me check once again. Here in my share tab, if I run my code, and you could also check this through your code as well. So I will open my PowerShell here, and if you are visible, here's my terminal. And what I'm going to check if npm run build is the right command. So npm run build, yeah, it's right command. It's building it. So it should be npm run build. And when it's done, let me save it. And once it's saved, the error should, we could redeploy this website, and let's see site overview. And what we could do is we could go to the production deploys and say deploy site, and it will redeploy it. And hopefully this time it should build. And so, yeah, so why we need to add this into environment file is the API keys is because when you run any website, right, it is built upon npm run build. So basically it's initializing it, and it's saying that it failed. So we could see deploy did not success. Deploy direct does not exist. So
Did
this
you try building locally?
sorry,
You want to try building locally once?
yeah, I have built it locally, and it's, if I share it, it's running. Like,
Maybe then you can just drag and drop the build folder if you have the build folder here.
okay, yeah, I think that could do. So what I will do is go to Netlify, add a new website, and I think from import, and I just put manually and drag and drop here, or we could. So I will. So in this directory, you could see your code, which is in HTML GSS code. What I will do is I will just drag and drop this part. Okay. So hopefully this time it should work. So it's done. Open production deploy, and cool. We have got our website here. So what we could do is um, we could ask some question like create, uh, let's say question for web development. And let us say we need 3 question, generate question, and generating question, and it will taking time. Let us see. Hopefully, it should give us some questions. And let me say, okay, so it's generating question, but OpenAI. Okay, so I'm thinking it's not. We have to add the environment variable once again in this thing, because this is a new deploy. So here in environment variable, I could add a single variable, and the key is when the code white open AI environment is the name, and we could add those, and the value is the API key. So I will copy and paste it, create variable, and hopefully if we redeploy this at configuration, and okay, into the production deploy. Since we have deployed it, added this environment variable, we need to redeploy, and we check, okay, production deploy.
Maybe drag and drop once again, perhaps. Or can you just try refreshing the website? It should, would it work? Because
yeah, I think that's why one reason I use Vercel.
yeah.
Create question regarding web dev, and could create generate question, and let's see. So it's still saying that you need to deploy settings. Okay. What I could do is I could redeploy it again. So I will go to deploy, and I will what I'm doing is basically redeploying this my code again, so it is able to take those environment variable. So I've redeployed it. Let's see. Hopefully this time it should work. Enter topic. Create. I have questions. Generate question. Yeah. So the reason why it's not working, it's not able to take API key. But what you could do is you could try with Vercel. Vercel is better option, and I will figure out why it's not working. And it's simply you just need to select and add repository there. So you could click on add new project, and basically you need to click on AI question generator. And I have already imported it, so I will deploy it and show you how to do this. So this will take few seconds, and once it's get deployed, it will take few seconds. And a good thing is that I've already deployed it on this Vercel app, and we could test it out. So we could say create a web dev question, and yeah, it should be able to give us some web dev questions. So generating, and here we get first question like this: what does HTML stand for? And we know that stands for hypertext markup language. And similarly, we could create 3 to 4 questions, and here we get all these questions. So this is very
Can you share the URL to this website?
Yeah.
So that people can also see that this is a public website.
Sorry. So this is a simple way you could do this, and you could make it more complex. Like we have created a very basic version for like question answer thing, and now the creativity lies on you, like how you want to use this API for. And this is one of the basic way to use. So see that you want to take over and add few things over it.
Yes, a couple of things. Thanks a lot, Saurav, Abhijit, and Sahil. It's been amazing. So just to summarize, guys, what we have done so far is we literally built a generative AI web application in the last 2 hours. What we would like you to take away from this is we are pretty aware that some aspects of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is probably not very clear for you. And that's because there is too much to cover in just 2 hours. But we wanted to show you the entire pipeline. Now imagine you have some idea for a generative AI web app for, let's say, let's say for creating a timetable for universities and schools. Currently, it's a big pain point because we partner with a lot of schools. We have seen that it's a big pain point. Now imagine with some logic, implementation of some logic plus usage of some LLM, you can build a web tool in which it's a public link. Let's say teachers can come there, they can fill their constraints, and then it will automatically generate 4 or 5 different versions of the timetable. And if they want more different versions, they have to subscribe for it. And this is literally an idea for a generative AI web app where you can make money out of something that you build. So what we showed today is just one small example of that pipeline where you can think of an idea. So here the idea was an MCQ generator. Can you make this thing right directly in ChatGPT? Of course you can. You can directly ask ChatGPT to create an MCQ and it will give you the response. But that's not the point of today's session. The point is more that if you have something better, which ChatGPT cannot provide an output in the format that the user prefers, you can do that using a website front end. But then the calculations that happen in the back end can be taken care of by a large language model. Today, we showed it using OpenAI's GPT models, but you can do the same thing using other open source models as well. The best thing is if you have any idea for a beautiful Gen AI web app, just let us know. We can see if there is a scope for building something together, why not, right? So please feel free to reach out. But if you did not understand some things, we'll be posting the recording of this in Vizuara's YouTube channel, most likely by tomorrow. So you can rewatch it and try implementing this yourself. We will also post the link to the GitHub repository in the description of that YouTube video, so you can check it out there. But otherwise, great job, Abhijit, Sahil, and Saurav. Thank you so much. We will probably be conducting some more in-depth sessions on APIs. Someone was mentioning about open source, using open source LLMs. We can also cover more in depth about hosting itself, or just about JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. So there is a lot of scope for conducting separate sessions as a series of webinars. But I really hope that all of you took away something out of today's session. Just one last thing before we close. Maybe we can, if you all can switch on your cameras, we can do a customary photo session. So I'll just give you all permission to start your video. So can all of you just switch on your video for like 5 seconds? We can just click a screenshot and then we can call it a day. Thank you all for switching on the camera. Very nice to see all of you. Should we do something? We had to overshoot a little bit, otherwise there was no way we could cover things in detail. But thank you so much for staying this long. Most of you have work tomorrow, so see you again in the next webinar. Take care until then. Bye.